I didn't realize until I was editing this video how truly aggressive I was when I filmed it. I mean, seriously, like, oh my god, she's mad. I'm about to come on this video looking like some Mardi Gras crazed woman. So I'm like alerting everybody now that this is a more intense video for me, and that even includes the will I buy it I made, where I almost like verbally assault Too Faced for their unicorn collection. Sorry in advance, and enjoy. I'm looking a little crazy right now. I don't know if you can see through my glasses. I've got kind of like this like crazy two-tone look kind of going on. We're just gonna like let that happen. I did a look using the Morphe 35M palette, and I wanted to do two different looks, but I wanted them to go together, so they're kind of like that, you know, like two-tone thing. Today I have kind of an interesting video, and it's going to get a little judgmental. I have a lot of big opinions, and I really want to share them. There have been a lot of things that they sound like they're going to be so good. They're these products, and you're like, whoa, they're sneak peek, you don't see the whole thing yet, and you're like, that sounds awesome, this is gonna be so good, wow, that sounds so interesting and cool, and then you see it and you're like, that is so disappointing, and it's underwhelming. These are products to me that miss the mark. They're missed opportunities where companies could have done something really cool or special with them, and they really just, they didn't. So here's the first one, and I don't know, this probably wasn't the biggest disappointment, but it definitely, I don't know, it really made me like out loud go. So Violet Voss released a collection, and it's called the Sweet Treasures Vault or Sweet Treasures Collection, and it's 4 like mini palettes. I think they're like, what is it? 10 pan palettes, and they're all like to a theme. So there's creme brulee, le macaron, berry blast, and fruit sorbet, and when they first sneak peeked them, they were just like the outward packaging, so you could see the names of them. And at first I was kind of excited. You could kind of tell which one was going to be which, you know, from like the name really, but I kind of got like excited. I was like, oh my goodness, yes, like perfect. Berry Blast is going to be all these pinks and like reds and burgundies. It's going to be so gorgeous. It's going to be awesome. And Le Macaron is going to be like these pastels, because I was thinking of like those little cookies, you know, those like nasty little styrofoam cookies. I don't know if people like them or not. I don't, but they're like pastel colors, and it's going to be great. It's going to be Kat Von D Pastel Goth, but like, you know, not limited edition. And creme brulee will be nude or fine, whatever. And then fruit sorbet obviously was going to be the rainbow palette, but I was excited to see them, and it seemed, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a smart idea. They were smart enough to recognize that people liked this idea of mini palettes and doing them in like a collection and like a vault. And this was just so dingy. It's just dingy, and there's so many repeating shades in several of these palettes. In Fruit Sorbet and Berry Burst, the middle shade in both of those palettes, I'm sure they're different, you know, in real life, but they look so similar. Similar browns in Creme Brulee and Berry Burst, and there's like the white and Fruit Sorbet and Creme Brulee, and Le Macaron, honestly, is just such a mess to me. It's so boring. It's all metallics, and they're just like, they're not interesting shades. Nothing about any of these is interesting. Like, not even remotely. Berry Burst is just modern renaissance repackaged from a different brand. Creme Brulee is like every nude palette anyone's ever seen. Le Macaron, again, is every NYX palette ever made. I mean, seriously, all I can think is of like Midnight Chaos. And Fruit Sorbet is just like, it's a rainbow palette, it's fine or whatever, but it's like, there's nothing interesting about it. And it's hard to do an interesting rainbow palette, especially when they've all been done, but it's just like, it really just doesn't, the plane isn't landing. It's not there. It's not there. These are just boring. So next I have this Ciaté Glitter Storm, and yo, this could have been like something really cool. Like, this could have been an all pressed glitter palette, and maybe that's not what anyone's asking for, and I don't even know if I would pick up something like that, but they could have done like all sorts of different colors and stuff, and this outer packaging is gorgeous. So you see this packaging, you're like, that looks stunning, I'm like so in for like the glitter, and then you open it up and it's like, what, 2, 3 shimmer shades and then like a bunch of like bland mattes? This is just a very like boring palette. Like, these shades I feel like don't represent Glitter Storm at all. It's just, it's very plain. It's very plain, and they could have made something really bold and exciting and fresh and interesting, but instead they released this. Up next, honestly shocked me. No, I don't want to say shocked me. What do I want to say? It legitimately made me angry because she should know better by now. And I have a lot of opinions on Makeup Geek at this time. So she released like, what is these? 9 palettes. She released 9 palettes. I think they're collaborating with her clothing line or fashion line. I don't know, but she released different palettes, and they're all supposed to be different color stories, but virtually these look, for the most part, the same. The green one, which is the Flourishing palette, is the only one of, like, real, like, notability. Like, there's nothing else interesting about the rest of these. Like, the Reflection palette has, like, that one row of blue, and then it's like, no. There's too much beige in here. There's too much beige. There's just too much brown and beige. Move away from it. You could have done one, like, they would have been... This is such a missed opportunity because she released 9 palettes, and 8 of them look the exact same. They have so many similar shades in this, so many repeating colors, and it's so boring. It's just so boring. It looks like everything else she's ever released, and she could have taken these and, like, for the Reflections done all blue, for Flourishing done all green, which she did, and she, you know, she could have probably popped in another color of green there, but for Echo, she could have done all grays. For Love Story, she could have done all pinks. For Bloom, she could have done all purple. Like, but there's like, there's boring colors in here. In her video, I didn't watch all of it, so forgive me if I'm saying something like out of turn or whatever. In her video, that beauty like community thing when that whole like shebang was going down, she's talking about how the downfall of her brand was ultimately because she wouldn't pay influencers, what was it, $60K to essentially promote her products.
I'm not gonna lie and be total transparent, which is really hard for me right now, being very vulnerable, is saying last year was a really, really tough year for Makeup Geek, and you guys know that. You've seen that our name hasn't been talked about a lot. The reason why has been we haven't been supported by influencers because we haven't paid them massive amounts of money. When you're a smaller company, you don't have the big funds to do that, especially if we're trying to make makeup that's made in the US. It costs more than making it overseas, and us trying to keep our price point low enough to have enough margins to where we can actually be profitable. So with that being said, we don't have $60,000 to pay someone to do one video, and that's the rates that we've been given.
Paying them $60K when you started, were you? They were just doing it on their own accord because your products at that time were interesting. You used to have some of the best single shuttles in the market. You used to be innovative. You used to be exciting. However, brands learned to compete with you, and then you couldn't keep up, and you stopped making exciting things. If you made interesting products and things that people wanted, things that people would want to use and show others and, you know, promote to others, you wouldn't need to pay them. They would just do it, you know? Next, I have the Sigma and the Sigma Viper collection. And so it was like a 6-pan palette and then like 2 lipsticks, I think it was. I can't find it now that I'm talking about it, of course. So, I don't know. Like, I like it, but I'm also not into it. It just doesn't do it. There's something and it's missing. Pinky kind of peach, light peach color that doesn't need to be there. I don't know necessarily about like this maroon color. I feel like they could have been different variants of green or like an icy blue or something. I just feel like, I don't know, it just doesn't quite do it, which is sad because the Viper idea is such a cool and new theme, and a lot of the products I'm talking about today are really pretty much just cool theme ideas that nobody else is doing that they literally just ruined, like that they didn't do anything with. And the same thing will go for, and we'll talk about it now, I'm just gonna segue into it, is the Becca Volcano Goddess, when they came out with this palette, and it was just kind of like, I don't know, it just doesn't do it. This packaging on the outside was so like beautiful. It's this rainbow geode looking just gorgeousness, and the inside does not reflect that in the slightest. They have that one row of like super metallics that are really pretty, but that doesn't save the rest of the palette. There's still like, what, like 9 other shades? I don't remember. I'm not looking at it. I'm just gonna take a guess. That are just your most basic boring colors that we already have. And if you're gonna gear this towards people that have maybe one or two single eyeshadows and are just looking for something, then you know what, you're reaching a really small audience at this point, because makeup is becoming a huge community. Like, the customer base for makeup at this point is ginormous because it's such a trend now. But I mean, we need to start opening up and branching out, especially Becca. I feel like Becca has just been doing, like, I don't want to say the bare minimum, but they're really just like dragging themselves along by their skin perfectors. Halo Beauty, I have so much irritation for this, and I remember when this first came out, I was so confused. Pills? I mean, I guess in a way, props to her for doing something different. Vitamins are different, and they weren't what anybody else was doing. However, it was bold of her to assume that people were just gonna buy them from her name. I think that's kind of what she was doing. I don't think it was I don't know. It was a different idea, but it wasn't necessarily smart. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like this was just just craziness. You're gonna get these expensive pills. Because she's not like a like a health and lifestyle YouTuber. She's a makeup YouTuber. So when everyone heard Halo Beauty, what's the first thing you think of? Highlighter, foundation, and, you know, mascara and eyeshadow and makeup. Like, makeup. But she didn't release makeup. And then she released more pills, the Kiwi boosters, and people were even more confused. Because it's like, there's more pills involved. Like, when are you gonna start making what we want, which is makeup? People watch Tati for makeup. And she would have made more money if she made makeup. But maybe that's all to show that she was not in it for the money, and she's in it to create a product that will better people. Whatever. I don't know. Fine. I just think that that whole brand is a big missed opportunity. This is, I think, the most recent release of all of them at this time, and that's the Nabla Poison Garden. And I was so excited for this. I saw the packaging and I was like, oof, yes. Oh, kill it. We're gonna get some black and teals. We're gonna get some light aquamarine, turquoise, green, blue, purple, look like Hasina 2 looking business. It's going with some orange, like it's gonna be fire. And then they released the Ace Beauty quintessential palette. Lastly, I want to talk about the MAC Girls palettes. I've had my beef with these for quite a while. I mentioned in a previous video, a new release video, that the MAC Pretty Punk palette was actually really appealing to me. I liked the purple and the green and all that stuff, and I like that a lot. However, ultimately, I'm never gonna buy from this line because I think that it's, one, a waste of packaging to start. Like, all these different size pans and they're all like mismatched. Like, that makes me crazy. That makes me crazy. It's not even like an OCD or like a particular person thing. It's just a flat out like, you're wasting stuff. Like, you're just like that. I just wish it was more of like a cohesive and it just looked nicer. And I also feel like they have a lot of good ideas for these palettes, and they just don't take them. Like recently with the Raver Girl palette, it just doesn't get there. It's very bland and boring, when raves, I feel like, or Raver Girls are very like bright and colorful and neon and exciting and all that stuff, and so they just don't quite get it right. But it's a good idea of a line. I was kind of like low and in the corner. Sorry if that bugged anybody. My life right now. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I kind of got a little angry and judgmental. Pretty much all I'm trying to say is, if these are products you really like, please don't be offended. I'm not trying to be rude and mean. I think sometimes a lot of my opinions do come off that way. And I am really judgmental. I'm trying to fix that. So I don't know, if I feel like this is too mean, I'm not going to post this. But I mean, these are just things that I felt like they're not quite all the way there for me. And that's just my opinion on these products. So anyway, let me know if these are products that you like, if you've used them, and you know how you feel about them, or if there are any products you feel like just don't quite get it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.